the Dallas Cowboys at home this Sunday. We're going to be talking about the matchup here. Washington, 10-point favorites. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome to our breakdown of the Dallas Cowboys versus Washington Commanders. Episode 200. I forgot to put this up here before, but you can see at the bottom of the screen for people watching live how you can enter to win a $200 Fanatics gift card. If you're watching this after the fact, you missed out, but don't worry. We're going to have more good times and more good things happening. So you want to catch us live every Wednesday here on YouTube and Facebook at 7:30 Eastern. Washington, a 10-point favorite at home against Cooper Rush-led Dallas Cowboys. And I have to say, I am almost sad, guys, about this butt whooping we are about to lay upon the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. It's
all right.
There's no excuse.
And I'm sad about it because I really like McCarthy out there in Dallas. I think he's a mediocre coach. And I think that if they could just, pull together, cobble a couple wins and be like, well, Dak was injured and all this other stuff and keep everybody there and keep that mediocrity. I mean, it's not as mediocre as the Clapper. All right. But he's not, he won one Super Bowl. I get it. I know stoners is usually a thing, but I mean, I'm going to miss him after Jerry Jones fires him. Yeah, goes after some other coach, because I was like, McCarthy, even though he's beat us up quite a bit, he's a beatable coach if you have a good team. And so I'm a little sad, guys, that it's going to be a butt whooping, because it might lead to McCarthy leaving a little bit sooner than I would like.
The Cowboys are dealing with quite a bit, right? They've lost 5 games in a row. Is that right? I think it's like 5 in a row. Maybe it's 4 in a row.
They've been, by the way, at home. Every home, they haven't won a home game this year. And to top it off, they have been down by at least 20 points in each of those games.
Yeah.
How many home games have they had? 4?
5.
They are 3-2 and away. So all of their wins, of course. So they've had 5 home games.
In all of their 5 home games,
yes,
the Saints have scored more touchdowns in Jerry Jones Stadium than the Cowboys have this year.
Yeah,
the Saints in one game scored more touchdowns than Dallas has in 5 games at home. That's pretty crazy. But look, they're dealing with tons of injuries. It's not like they were rolling before the injuries, but the Dak injury is a big deal. Say what you want about Dak. He's a above average quarterback, and he's going.
They were losing. No,
they
were losing games.
12-5 every year.
They were losing games when he was healthy.
They were 3-3, I think, when he went out, or 3-4. They were. Look, they're not great. I'm just saying, not having Dak is a big deal.
Sure.
It's not.
So then you add in the
Rush.
Cooper Rush is god awful.
Beat us, but
yeah, he has beaten us.
He was 5-1 as a starter, and he has beaten us. Yeah,
they haven't had Deron Bland all year, right? They haven't had Sam Williams, a defensive end. They haven't had DeMarcus Lawrence. They missed Micah Parsons for like 4 games. CD Lamb is playing with a lot of injuries. They've had a lot of injuries. They just have. And this past game, 3 offensive linemen went out. 2 of them didn't practice today. So they've have a lot of injuries, but they're just not a very good team, as you said, Trev, even before that altogether.
No,
I think Dak was fine, but just the team. Jake Ferguson, I think, is out with a concussion. He's their number 1 tight end. They have no offensive weapons to speak of that you have to worry about, except for CD Lamb. Rico Dowdle's fine if he's a backup running back and comes in for spurts.
Sure.
But to be your primary running back is a totally different story. But their offense, overall, yards, 27th in the league. Yeah. Points per game, 31st in the league. Sorry, that's their defense. Their offense is 24th in the league.
So bad.
It's still bad at 18.7 points per game. That's how much they're scoring. That's very Washington-esque in years past, right? Our offense was struggling to get to 20 points per game, but their rushing offense is 31st. They cannot run the ball. They have Ezekiel Elliott and Rico Dowdell. Dowdell, I want to say his last name.
Dowdle's fine.
They can't run the ball, even though Washington can't stop the run.
It's like-
It's not
Right.
fair.
it's the opposite of unstoppable force and immovable object. We're,
Yeah.
we're the reverse of this, and
So you got their
unstoppable
terrible
force
offense.
versus a movable object.
Their defense is terrible. Against the run, their defense is 31st. Think about that for a second. They have the 31st ranked rush defense, while Washington has the 6th ranked rush offense. So you have the number 6 rush offense going against the 31st rush defense in Dallas. And
I have the button ready if you wanted to just go ahead and call it out, Stoner.
run the ball. No doubt about it. This is the game. This is the get right game. This is the game where you're going to run the ball up and down. They give up 29 points per game. Washington scores 28 points per game. This is a get right game for this offense after the Philly game. It's all right there in front of you, Washington. So they need to take advantage of this opportunity against a bad Dallas defense on both sides of the ball. They're spiraling out of control. The owner has to speak on whether they're going to fire the coach every single week. They can't do anything offensively. They can't stop anybody defensively. You do 2 things and you win the game. You stop CeeDee Lamb on defense and you stop Micah Parsons on offense, and you easily win this game.
Well, Stoner, you've talked quite a bit about who's there and who's not there for the Dallas Cowboys. We've had a lot of people asking what happened to the TNN. We made sure we wanted to have it here in the We Want Dallas section. So let's go to Trev.
For all your Commanders news and notes, it's the TNN. Here's Trev.
Never gets old.
What
Never
up?
gets
What up? What up? TNN in the house. Trevor's here with the injury report from the Washington Commanders today. First day of practice after coming off that mini bye from the Thursday night game and the Sunday game against Pittsburgh and the Eagles. So I guess today was first day of practice. Zach Ertz was a DNP rest day. I feel like he gets every Wednesday off as a rest. I might want to mention that anymore. Nick Bellore, special teams ace, is a DNP with the knee injury. And yep, of course, Marshawn Lattimore is a DNP with his hamstring injury. They said he did a little bit of work on the side field today. Sam Fortier posted a pic of him being a position and a drill for the cornerbacks, and he ran for like a few yards. That's the most I've ever seen him do physically since he's been here, but he's a DNP. I don't see him playing Sunday unless he decides to practice tomorrow and Friday, but I do not see him playing, probably like you said, Stone, in the chat after the bye, or whoever said that in the chat. So there's that. Good news injury report. Austin Seibert was limited today after missing the last 2 games with his hip injury, right hip injury. He started practicing a little bit today, so that's a good sign. Ben Sinnott was limited with an illness. Khalil Farrell, his knee, feels like his knee is going to be an issue all year. I guess just precautionary. He's limited today. And Noah Igbe with the thumb injury was limited today as well. But full participants were Dorrance Armstrong with a knee, Brandon Coleman, our left tackle, with a thumb, Devontae Jean-Baptiste with the ankle. They activated his 21-day practice window to return. I didn't even know he was on there. I was looking for him to play this past game, calling for him, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Okay. So he's back. And then Jordan McGee has an elbow issue, but he was full practice today. So
who's not on that list, Trev?
Jaden Daniels.
I like it.
So it seems like this mini bye is actually becoming more beneficial than what we're giving it credit for. Like I said, today, just Wednesday. Marshawn Lattimore, probably see him after the bye. That makes no sense for him. And everybody else is just resting or limited. So overall, we're getting healthier as Sunday approaches. Now, I don't have the Dallas Cowboy report in front of me, but I looked at it earlier, and I did see Jake Ferguson on there with a DNP. He's out for concussion. Linebacker Eric Kendricks has a shoulder injury. He was limited. A couple other studs. Zach Martin did not practice today. Their outstanding All-Pro guard, who's trending down, getting out of his prime of his career. So yeah, that's just the injury report today for Wednesday from the Commanders and the Dallas game on Sunday.
Ferguson, Martin, Tyler Smith, and linebacker Nick Vigil were all DNPs for Dallas.
Something to watch on Wednesday or on tomorrow's for certain. P&W Trout Slayer. So I'm taking JD5's hand is okay with that cut. He did injure his hand in the game against Philadelphia. It's not on the injury report, so that's a good sign.
Stoner, I'm surprised you didn't have anything to say about Jaden Daniels being at a Wale concert during the mini-bye. Is that a distraction, or because, back in the day when Chase Young did that stuff, it was a distraction, but I just want to see if you think him going to concert this year was a distraction or not on the mini-bye.
Okay, to clarify, by the way, what was the Chase Young situation that was a distraction?
He's got offers from like New Balance and stuff. He was doing business things, marketing.
So he missed the camp.
Voluntary.
Right. But he missed camp because of that.
That
Did
was
Jaden
voluntary.
Daniels miss practice?
We don't know. I don't know the date of the concert.
Yeah, we do know. He didn't miss anything. But I will say it did raise a little eyebrow.
I know.
It did.
That's why I brought it up.
But I thought about it and like this is kind of like a mini bye. He's not missing anything. You saw him at a Wizards game. Right?
But he's hurt, right? Shouldn't he be like rehabbing?
Staying at home, feet up on the couch.
He's
studying the playbook because he doesn't know the plays.
He's not on the injury report. I don't have any problem with Jaden Daniels doing these things, going to a Wizards game, going to the Wale concert, things like that, because it's not in place of doing things for the team. That's the problem I had with Chase Young. Is he was doing it instead of
being a volunteer.
We ever got that. Okay. Instead of. It wasn't just that he was doing it. I don't care if he's doing it.
Instead of volunteering. Right. Okay.
We'll probably talk more Chase Young when we play against the Saints there. Gus Bus is going to be in town for that one. So hopefully he will be able to score some tickets to that one. Earlier we had somebody saying that they were going to be at the game for this Washington-Dallas matchup. The last time we played at home was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it felt very Three Rivers South.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah, it was
Three Rivers Heinz Field. What is it now? Some other name.
It's some bank or something.
South is what I'm trying to get across here. Do you feel Dallas in the kind of a wayward season? Normally, doesn't matter. There's a lot of Cowboys fans in the DC area. They tend to show up. Will we have home field advantage to go with the Las Vegas advantage that we currently have?
I think so. I think we're going to have more fans than Cowboys fans just because of the way the Cowboys are playing this year. I mean, they don't have any people showing up to their home games. Why would they drive all the way up here to go see? I mean, only reason they would is because it's Washington, Dallas. It's rivalry week, But I don't think it's going to be a takeover like normally is when Dallas comes to town, because who's going to drive up there to see Cooper Rush hand the ball off to Rico Dowdle, trying to pass to CeeDee Lamb? That's it. That's all it is. So I don't see a takeover. I see our fans showing up and showing out because we've lost 2 in a row. And the team Twitter posted today that in our home games this season, we've caused, I think, 3 delay of games and 8 false start penalties with our home crowd. So, I mean, that's usually saying something because we ain't never have the team post stats about our stadium like that in the positive way. It's usually about, water dumping.
It's not poop.
Sewage water. It's not poop water. It's not Jalen Hurts with the railing falling off on him. It's not, we've been to the stadium, all 3 of us together and separate. It's not long lines for food. It's not people being reckless and standing in front of you all the time. It's a positive stat. 8 false starts and 3 delay a game. So, and I think, I keep saying it, the brand new stuff we've got going on here, it's going to entice the crowd to come out even more because we're actually a beneficial home crowd instead of just being there because it's a football game.
We're also a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that it's been a little patch here the last couple of games, but this really is just a fun team to watch when they get going. Like, it just is exciting. I think that was the thing that I missed the most in that Eagles game, was it just didn't seem fun. It was like your offense wasn't going, and Jaden Daniels is not on the sideline smiling, and it was just. I'm hoping that we get back to fun, and we've talked about how that defense isn't good and how Washington potentially can exploit that poor defense. Now, this is a division game. These tend to be pretty wild in how they go. And how much do you think Dallas, which, by the way, Dorrance Armstrong let it out the bag that the players don't care about this rivalry at all, but for the fans, it matters. The fans, it matters. How much do you think, as far as the division aspect, though, that Dallas is going to stand up and be better than what their stats suggest?
Yeah, well, first, I disagree with you about the home field advantage. There's going to be a lot of Cowboys fans there. There's going to be close to 50-50. Sorry, that's just how it works until you have an off season. Until you have an off season after a good season with a lot of hope and promise, then when tickets come out in the off season, Cowboys fans are going to gobble those up. The Cowboys fans that live around here, just like Pittsburgh did. You can't say that Washington fans weren't trying to buy tickets to that home game against Pittsburgh. They were already bought by Pittsburgh at the beginning of the year because that's what Pittsburgh fans do. So do Cowboys fans. There's going to be a lot of Cowboys fans at this game. It's going to be very disappointing. It's going to take a while to get to where we need to be. But the Cowboys are, to answer your question, Nathan, they're going to come into this game. It is a division game. I don't care if they're 3-7. Cooper Rush doesn't care if they're 3-7. Micah Parsons doesn't care if they're 3-7. They want to go out there and kick some butt and win this game. So they're going to give their best efforts. Especially because it's a division game. So I don't think we worry about that. Again, we've talked about it a million times. Players don't tank. Coaching staffs and owners might tank. And you kind of see it with this. I mean, Cooper Rush, you got to think Trey Lance gives them a better chance to win just because of his athleticism and his ability to break out into the open field.
If nothing else, you see what you have with a former, top pick.
You traded for the guy, for crying out loud. You didn't just pick him up. You traded a draft pick for him. So they're not trying. But when it comes to game time or whatever, those guys are going to be out there working their tails off to try to win the game, regardless of what the record is. There's no rivalry right now, or it's not as heated because Washington's been bad for so long. So DeMarcus Lawrence in Dallas didn't look as Washington as a rivalry.
Dorrance Armstrong.
What did I say? Anderson? What did I say?
No, you said DeMarcus Lawrence.
Dorrance Armstrong said, no, Washington wasn't a rivalry. That's because Washington was never winning. Mm-hmm. But if you asked him if that Eagles game was a big rivalry, he'd say, heck yeah. But not Washington. So now, hopefully, it's going to be as the years go on with Washington winning, it'll be a bigger rivalry.
Go ahead, Trev. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
It will matter when the games start mattering. And I think that's been the biggest issue is these games, even if Washington's been good, Dallas has usually been bad. Sort of like this year, Washington looking for a playoff spot. Dallas, one game behind, as Brent's pointing out here, Giants are one game behind Dallas. Maybe Dallas wants to tank. And that is exactly where Dallas is right now is just like, is it worth going through the rest of the season, again, owner and coach wise, or do they just put a product out in the field to kind of get through the season and look at the draft to improve? I mean, I have a hard time believing that's really where they want to go. You got to remember at the beginning of the season, Jerry Jones says they're all in.
Mm-hmm.
They traded at the deadline for a wide receiver.
Oh, yeah.
Teams that are looking to tank don't usually spend assets to go get wide receiver 4.
Maybe.
I didn't even see him out on the field last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's after the trade. He might not have been ready.
It's
with
been
a
couple weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're right, but
I have never felt this confident about a Dallas game in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because of how bad they are, but because of who we have on our side that's going to benefit us because they came from that side. Number one starts with Dan Quinn. He knows Cooper Rush like the back of his hand, probably. He went up against him every day for the past how many seasons. Number 2, Joe Witt Jr., same thing. Number 3, players, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, and Noah Igby. They all know how this offense works. They all know the tendencies of these players. They all know their attributes and all that, not just X and O's. They know, like, oh, Cooper hesitates with the ball an extra 2 seconds. Oh, this O-line actually usually tends to block to his left more than his right. And, just stuff like that. So
or they know Mike McCarthy. They know what Mike McCarthy's tendencies for calling.
Exactly. I don't care about Mike Zimmer. They still got Micah Parsons. He knows his tendencies. They still got, like you said, Mike McCarthy, who's the head honcho of it all. So I just feel super confident. The only way we fumble this game is if we literally beat ourselves. If we come out of this mini bye looking too relaxed, if we're looking like we've already got this game in the bag before we get out there, because like you said, it is a division game. So we are going to get the best version of the Cowboys that we've probably seen in the past few games because it's a division game. And it might not be a big game to them being Washington, but in the back of their mind it is. Because no matter if we are better than them, Dallas does not want to go around saying Washington beat us. No matter who's on our squad, they don't want to say Washington beat us because they always beat us, no matter who's on our squad or their squad. But this game is for the taking. It's a get-right game. You should not take the foot off the gas. You should give them a Detroit beatdown. You should give them a beatdown like everybody else is giving them this year. No excuses. We should put up 40 against them. We should see Mariota in the fourth quarter. We should see McNichols in the fourth quarter. We should see this new practice squad guy if he's elevated in the fourth quarter. That's the kind of game this should be. We should be bored watching this game on Sunday. Zero excuse. I don't think we're going to split the series like I normally do when we see Dallas. I think we sweep the series this year. I think our only true NFC East opponent is the Eagles. So just go in there, mollywop them, treat it like a Super Bowl, treat it like they're like the Cowboys of the past. Records don't matter. Just go in there and just lay a slobber knocker and come out of there with the victory. And let's be 8-4 and get ready.
So it's time to start asking everybody what their score predictions are. Trev, what do you think the final score is going to be for this game?
38-17, Washington.
Okay, very good. Let's start getting everybody's score predictions there.
Be honest, I forgot about him. He knows. So we have a huge advantage.
And I think what you're saying, Trev, also, you were talking about Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. knowing the offense. Let's not forget they know Dallas's defense very, very well.
Very well. Yep.
So, and that might be even a bigger key because they're going to know who they really need to plan for. Again, what certain tendencies are of certain players. They're gonna know how to stop Micah Parsons.
Yep.
Right. Whether or not they can execute, that's another thing. But they're going to have a really good game plan. Having that extra couple of days to be able to prepare for Dallas is also a huge key. Just because you're not practicing, the players are getting rest, the coaches are still in there grinding every single day.
Yep.
Coming up with a good game plan on how to beat Dallas and the opponents coming down the road. So there's a lot to like about Washington's opportunity. You have a bad defense in Dallas. You have a bad offense in Dallas with a backup quarterback who's not very good. You don't have many weapons. You've got CeeDee Lamb, and that's really the only guy you're scared of.
Yep.
Who doesn't have as good of stats as Terry this year, for the record.
Are you sure about that? I think CeeDee Lamb's got some pretty darn good stats over there.
Go ahead and look.
He's got like
106
targets
with
or
that.
whatever. I think he's got 67 catches for 774 yards. I don't know what Terry's are off the top of my head, but he's got 106 targets, man. He's got 67 catches.
Yeah, because they have nobody else to throw it to.
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of helps in that. So here, hold on. Let me bring it up for you because all right. You ready for this?
For Terry's, I need
Terry McLaurin.
numbers.
Terry
How many
McLaurin
catches?
has 48 catches,
So 20 less.
68 targets.
So 40 less.
Yep. 721 yards.
So about 50 yards less.
And 6 touchdowns.
That's 2 more touchdowns than CeeDee Lamb has.
Exactly.
So again, not having as good of a season, in my opinion. If you're a volume guy, Like,
Yeah.
name me a basketball guy that's like this, because I'm spacing on one that just like shoots up the rock 50 times a game, but they still only score
Russell
like 24
Westbrook.
points.
Yeah, I was
Do
going to say
not-
the same thing.
do
Trent.
not
Russell Westbrook.
Take my man. You know, Russ isn't the
Okay.
right option.
I
Pick me
mean-
somebody else. Pick me somebody else.
Well, here's
Steph
kind of
Curry could do that.
why.
He's
Again,
actually-
Washington has a lot going in their favor for this.
Jordan
game.
Poole. There we go. That's actually
Jordan
Kuzma
Poole, yeah.
lately this season. My
Yeah.
goodness.
So I think they've obviously got a chance to get right. I don't think it's going to be the kind of game that we're all hoping for. I don't think it's going to be a Carolina game. It's not going to be an Arizona game. It's not a game where they're going to be up 24-3 at halftime. It's not going to be like
Why?
that because
Why?
that's
So-
just not how it works in the NFC East. It just
So we're going to
never
go down
works
and
that
stoop
way.
down to their level.
It
and
wasn't
play
too
their
long
kind of
ago,
football.
Stoner, that was how this game went. Washington beat the bricks off of Dallas
Yeah, I know.
2 seasons ago, where it did look like that.
In
And Dallas,
2020, I
just
believe,
last
yeah.
season, did it, repaid the favor,
Right.
was eaten in the bowl. They pulled out turkey legs
Yeah.
in the
I
middle of the
remember that.
game against Washington. That's how confident they were.
So but I just don't get the feeling that that's how it's going to be in this particular game. You remember on Monday or Sunday night, and it was 17-10 Houston at halftime of that particular game. Now Houston ran away in the second half. I think that's how this game is going to go. It's going to be a close game at halftime. It's going to be like 14-10, 13-10 Washington at halftime, and they're just going to wear them down like the Eagles did to Washington this past week, because they're going to consistently run the ball, and Jaden Daniels is going to have a much better game than he has in the past. He's going to run the ball a lot more. So I do see Washington in the end winning easily, but it's not going to be a what game did Mariota come in? Was not the Carolina games. He played most of it, but the end of the game where he had mop-up duty. Maybe that was Arizona, because I think that was a 42-14 game. You're on mute, Nathan. So I
Honestly,
think
it was Arizona, yeah.
yeah. So I think it's going to be that type of game. It's going to be a close one. We're going to pull away. You're not going to see Mariota. You're not going to be sitting there at halftime twiddling your thumbs because it's
Yes, we are.
24-3.
Yes, we
But Washington
are.
will end up winning fairly easily in the end because Dallas is that bad, and Washington's going to need a little bit of time to kind of gel. So I got Washington winning. I've got Washington winning this game 28-16.
Two touchdowns? That's all we're going to win by? Nah, bro.
Gus
we're gonna
is winning
destroy them.
31-13. Robert
Yeah, I got
28-10.
38-17.
Uptown 42-16. 40-13 from Graham. 40-10 from Jeffrey. Joel 41-14.
Come on,
DC Dave
Stoner.
with you a little bit. 27-17 there. Brent 28-13.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you what I think is way it's gonna go.
Before Trevor, I give our responses.
Well, Trev
I
did
wa-
already, by the way,
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
while you were
While I was
Away.
tending to a
He's
child
totally
interrupting the show. No, he needed to tell me something, so me being the attentive father listened. Before I get to my prediction, we're all in agreement Washington's going to win this game.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, how big do they have to win, or how does this game have to go to make you feel confident before we get to that Philadelphia game? I know we have a couple more games in between this, but like we just lost to Philadelphia in a decided factor. Like, I mean, Philly beat us. Okay. It wasn't the Pittsburgh game where we beat ourselves. It was Philadelphia beat us. So how does this game have to go for us to feel like we're back on track?
Oh, we got to stomp them out.
28-16.
That's it. Stoner's like, just win the game.
38-17. We got to put up points. We got to like we did to Cleveland and Carolina and everybody else that we destroyed. We got to stomp them out. It's the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
We have everything working in our favor, literally from the home crowd to our coaching staff to our players. Like, we need to destroy them. We don't need to narrowly escape them. We don't need to play down to their level and narrowly escape them. We need to stomp them. We need to beat the teams that we're supposed to beat. And just so happens this season, we're supposed to beat Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
We got to come out there and just raise hail.
Love it.
I don't know. I think there's a good possibility that in the end they'll do that, but I just don't have a good feeling about how it's going to start off.
Why do you think that? Because we had too much time off?
Because not because of the time off, but the offense is not going to go from garbage to a treasure in 5 minutes. It's going to just take some time to kind of get back into the flow of this offense moving down the field.
I think we'll pick up right where we left off in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
What I think is that Washington has taken care of business against lesser teams all season long.
Do it again.
And I do feel that's going to be how this game is going to be. I'm going to go 32-14 Washington. Yeah. And I just feel like this is going to be, we talk about get right games all the time. This is, again, as a team you're supposed to lose. You're coming off of a bad loss to a division rival. You have a chance to beat a division rival who is on the ropes. Dallas, make no mistake about it, this victory against the Dallas Cowboys will effectively end any hope they have for making the postseason. They're already kind of clinging. They're hanging on. A loss pretty much wipes them out.
So we all agree.
Finish them.
So we all agree Dallas gets their butt kicked. Washington wins easily.
Yes. On to Tennessee, baby.
That is precisely what we're talking about. Now, Gus here has something that I think might be a good decision point before we wrap things up against Dallas here. If Jaden can't be impressive against Dallas, then suddenly his rookie season isn't as memorable as RG3's. And this is kind of what I was going with this, like how, what does this game need to look like for us to feel confident in this team again? And it means Jaden Daniels, because Jaden Daniels really is the Washington Commanders right now. We are living and dying by his every throw and how good he looks. When he looks great, we feel on top of the world. When he hasn't looked good, we're making excuses.
Yeah, but I don't want to put it all on this Dallas game in order for him to have, a legacy season like that. You want to do it against Dallas, but if he has these great games against everybody else except Dallas, it's still going to be a great season.
Yeah.
It's still going to rival that of RG3.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, as Locked On Law had said, no excuses. We lost 2 games. Time to get back to winning, not making excuses. Washington has a home game against the Dallas Cowboys. They're 10-point favorites. We'll have your instant reaction after the game. Be sure to tune into that. Let's go raise hell, gents.